we come on to our first topic. As equipment develops and we see more changes with screens, different payment systems, QR codes, general equipment development, and as we move forward, how much longer can we stay wedded to the various MDB protocols? I think we're up to 4 point something at the moment, and there are old executive machines out there. But how are machines going to communicate as we go forward? Now, there's a group within the EVA that has been looking at this, and I'd now like to introduce Erwin Wetzel from the EVA, who will take us through that.
And as David mentioned, there's a lot of digitalization going on, and we had our General Assembly meeting a month ago in Split, Croatia, and I had the pleasure to present during this event our new protocol, which is not ready yet, but will be soon. And we gave a marketing name to it, which is the EVA Smart Link. You're probably already familiar with other EVA standards because it is something that we develop internally at the EVA. We have the EVA DTS, we have the EVA energy measurement protocol. We had all different specifications or protocols that are used in the industry, and the EVA DTS will still be used for communication of data. For this project, we decided to have also a cooperation with OPC UA. I will tell you more about it in the next slides. So, of course, I'm gonna explain you why we decided to go for this new protocol. Of course, we mapped the industry, we checked all the specifications that were in place, and we looked also at the industry challenges. Because of course that was a bit kicked off by operators who see challenges with current standards. And so we decided on the objectives and the key features this new specification should have. I will explain you the project development and who is involved in developing the specification. Of course, explain you what is the OPC UA, because this new EVA SmartLink is based on an architecture which is already in place in many industries. Tell you the advantages, and of course, very important to you is to understand the key benefits, not only for the suppliers but also for operators, and what's the return on investment by using this new specification. So why did we start this project? As I told you, there was a problem coming mostly from operators, and those operators who are attending probably this webinar will understand it. Sometimes with MDB you have issues to connect some of your peripherals or devices to the machine. Even if you use the same brand or the same machine manufacturer, sometimes you think, why does it work with one type of machine and not with the other ones? So MDB is not equal to MDB. David Llewellyn mentioned 4.2. I think we're now already at 4.3, but it's already quite outdated standard. And we involved also NAMA, so the US Association for Vending and Unattended Retail, so that they get also an understanding of the work we're doing. We want to share it because this specification is supposed to be universal. It's not only linked to Europe or to vending, but it goes far beyond. So if you look at these numbers, they are coming from our latest EVA market report. It was published in September. You see the three main metrics regarding total machine field base. It has been quite stable over the last years, little increase since 2019. But if you look at the number of vents, we are still down by 17.5% compared to 2019, and that was only compensated to increase of prices, because in terms of revenues we have caught up a bit. But it's just to give you an understanding of this, of the market, that there's still a lot of advantages. It is a future for the industry, and of course you are all aware that there are different business models that have also come up over the last years. Talking about smart fridges, micro markets, unattended retail. all different means of selling that can be combined with classic vending. David mentioned it in the introduction, more digitalization, that's for sure. Also regarding payments and looking at these developments, we need to take those into account because standards currently are outdated. Nevertheless, we have a fragmented standards landscape, so multiple standards. We talked about MDB. You have still executive that was developed by MEI. BDV, which is a German association, also developed their own standard 25 years ago, which was an adaptation from the executive one, but really tailored for the German market. Then VCCS, which was developed by Coke and Micromec. But if you look overall in around the world, there are not that many standards. Asian manufacturers now are more have their own standards. I mean, for Asia, but if they want to export, for example, to Europe or to US, they need to adapt at least to MDB, and they're not familiar with it. So I would say those standards are quite universal, at least executive and MDB, but they're outdated. It means also high supplier costs due to these multiple protocols because you have incompatible software, and you require also sometimes local adaptations. So that's not only an issue with the integration of hardware devices as such, but also you need to integrate some complex software functions very often. So as I said, the problem context came from operators. Operators saw barriers due to the lack of interoperability, complex updates, and also a quite limited readiness for the deployment of the Internet of Things regarding digitalizations. And MDB systems have their limitations. We follow data throughput, encryption, and MDB is certainly not designed for future technology demands. So we say, okay, that's the situation now, and we need a harmonized standard because we need to ensure the compatibility across all the segments. We say vending, office coffee service, and unattended retail sectors. We know that the AVA also changed recently its name to unattended, and that's something which is now part of our industry. And of course, everything is digitalized. So that's why also for the name, or at least for the industry, we didn't want to focus only on vending, but enlarge it to all different means of selling. So it has, by design, has to be future-proof regarding all the technological advances, and like this also ensure that there's a long-term usability and scalability of these standards. So this specification will be ready. You will see in the roadmap by next year. But of course, it has to adapt, and there will be a working group which will be maintained, so we can also make adaptations and take into account all future developments. So what are the objectives and key features of this new specification? First, to ensure interoperability across systems, so to have a seamless interaction between machines, the devices you want to connect, so the peripherals and cloud platforms, so to ensure there's a good data flow. And the second, also to secure the data exchange, so safe transfer, and also support mobile payments, remote systems updates without any breaches. That should be the key objective also when we look at the secure data exchange. Of course, it has to reduce the integration costs because processes should be simplified. So we know that cost is really everything also for operators. That's why they're also refurbishing very often. So we want them to have systems which are more efficient, more affordable. And that's why this specification is about to be ready next year, because we want operators to have these agility, flexibility to connect easier devices. We want to foster innovation regarding multimedia, nutrition data, but also the use of smart energy. And very important also because EU legislation is coming up with this regard is to ensure that information or sensitive information is protected, that the data flow also maintains a certain trust. And looking also at fiscalization, many European countries have already implemented some fiscal requirements, and this specification will also help to have to be compliant and to be able to send, for example, encrypted data to national authorities in charge of fiscality and for its interoperability. Yeah, here just to give you a quick overview. I'm not going to go through for this, but just for those people who are maybe a bit more familiar with the software development and protocols, is just to explain you more or less how we're working. So how we connect the different purpose and yeah, how this communication takes place and which features we need to take into account. What are the advantages of OPC UA technology? It's a secure and extensible design. So it ensures future-proof solutions, and it's the most important is an architecture which is already adopted in manufacturing and automation industries. So there was a very good or positive point for us, means that it has already proven its value in other industries. There are already more than 200 specifications which cover many industrial applications. We have, for example, our colleagues from the German association representing kitchen appliances. They developed a protocol many years ago for the professional dishwashers and washing machines. And while talking to them, they told me that it worked very well. They were happy about the work. I forgot to mention also that in the working group, we have not only EVA members, but we have also hired an expert from the OPC UA, an expert that has already developed some other specification and who is guiding us in writing this specification. So according to the OPC UA standards. The good thing also is that there's an availability of open source toolkits. So there's no mandatory membership, which encourages a broader collaboration use and very helpful to us and the members. The communication models supports both client, server, and publish subscribe communication models for flexible data exchange. And the foundation for companion specification serves as the basis for the EVA OPC UA companion specification. So that enables the standardization and the interoperability. So coming now to the roadmap and the implementation timeline. So as I told you, from April 2024, we had regular meetings. So there was a lot of work involved. Means that also the experts from the EVA members invested a lot of time and also money because they had to free themselves to attend these meetings. So we have usually 3 hours meeting every 2 weeks. So we have a hackathon again end of November, where we are supposed to finalize this protocol. So to really check the effectiveness of the written specification. And then we start also with the promotion of development and innovation. So basically the members which are now active in the working group will have also the time to make the tests internally in the companies and to look at the implementation of it. That's going to be the next step. So the prototype survey is scheduled to be ready now end of November. It's not 2024, but it's 2025. There's a mistake there. We plan to have a live demo at our stand, probably, but to be confirmed, in May 2026, the first week of May. I think from the 6th to the 8th of May, there's Venditalia and Rimini. So we plan, because it's a pretty large show, we plan to showcase the latest product developments here. Also a lot of international visitors. So we still have to figure out how we will do it, but basically it's to show everybody, not only operators, but suppliers, how it works. Because anyway, the protocol will be open. So of course, the benefit of our EVA members is to get access to the specification a bit earlier, especially for the working group members, so they can already start developing it internally. But it will be open, so there are no costs involved. That was the plan, because we wanted to have a good rollout across all the continents, also working with NAMA so that they're aware of it. Because we need a broad acceptation of the specification so that it works. I mean, that's the purpose behind. That's why we, as EVA, as an association, we invested also the money. We did it on behalf of the industry. So we expect 2026 a good rollout. We expect from the companies to look at it and to launch it. And of course, our role as EVA, but also we count on the national associations such as the AVA, is also to promote it and to support awareness campaigns. So coming now to the return on investment. So there's certainly cost savings because there will be a reduced maintenance, and it will save a lot of money to companies in general because processes will be easier. There's going to be a fast innovation that drives the market expansion and strengthens competitive advantage, especially against non-European competitors. That's also something we want to achieve. We are witnessing now that a lot of non-European manufacturers are entering the European market, I mean, UK included. Of course, if we want to still have a competitive advantage, we need to innovate, but this is probably part of it. To have a protocol which is working compared to machines where probably you will have issues, not only with spare parts or with safety, whatever, but where we have also issues with communication and with connection. So I think that's a big asset for European manufacturers. Benefits for suppliers is, of course, to have a unified protocol, so you don't have to produce now machines where you have to make an MDB adaptation sometimes executive, and having operators asking you to do this and that, or calling you because they don't manage to connect it. No, you will have a single unified system, single design, easy management. So there should be in the middle range reduce development costs for suppliers. It's going to be easier integration. So as I told you, better for the competitiveness, but it will also boost efficiency. It will be also easier for manufacturers not to integrate, I don't know, multimedia devices or screens coming from other suppliers, from third parties, much easier. And so it's going to be new possibilities really for mobile apps, touchscreens, multimedia technologies. So that's really future looking. For the operators, so you will have the possibility to update your prices as you do now already with telemetry devices, to update also firmware remotely. You have an efficient system management. It will reduce cost because less maintenance. You will have to pay less your staff or to have less trained staff to make the connection between devices and the machine. Will mean also less on-site visits. This specification should help you also to have more reliable, secure, and future-proof machines. So that will also enhance the operational stability. And also pretty important, because this will come probably also in the UK, is a fiscal compliance. Now that digitalization is coming and electronic payment in general, you will have to cope with it and to be compliant. And these specifications will help you also to have encrypted data, to protect sensitive information, and to communicate your data down to fiscal authorities. So that was from my side. I mean, this presentation will probably be also available for any questions. Then you can come back.
Thank you for that, Owen. Now, it doesn't appear to be any particular questions. I have a few, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I mean, obviously, as this develops and you say that it'll then roll out, what will be the situation with legacy equipment? I mean, we've got nearly 500,000 machines out in the UK market, even some still working on executive. Will the new protocol can it be retrofitted, or will it mainly be a sort of an organic growth as new machines come into the market and equipment?
Yeah, it's more like the second point. Yeah,
Mm,
there's going to be a coexistence between old ones because we cannot force. We saw it. MDB was supposed also to replace executive, and you see that some markets are still very much dominated by executive, such as Italy. So that was not expected like this. So that's why we have a lot of standards in parallel. But I think it's for the legacy. If it's possible, it's possible to retrofit it if the machine capability is given. Otherwise, we just think that with this new specification, as it brings so many advantages, it will drive clients, operators to buy those new machines rather than retrofitting some of them. But
mm.
legacy devices or machines which are already in the field can still work with the old protocols.
And that would be the same, not just for the equipment, but for the peripherals as well. So payment devices still
Right.
allowing for, all
Yes.
right, people are moving towards cashless payment, but there's still that uh, inertia where, in some cases, where the people are still wanting cash.
Yeah.
Those sort of things.
Exactly,
Is
because
that all the sort of things that when they've been doing the various connectivity tests, have they been looking at that as well?
yeah, because if you look 10 years back, there were only a few players in payment. Now we have plenty of them. If you
Yes.
just look at the membership within the AVA or the EVA, we have plenty of them, and they were all coming from retail, and they had to adapt to the very peculiar vending sector by organizing the MDB connection. Um, and of course, we base now the new specification on industrial Ethernet, which is much easier.
See, and you said about obviously um, this being open source, but being available to sort of through EVA members. And I know that a lot of our equipment and manufacturers and components members are also members across the EVA, but also operate across Europe. So, but for each of the individual associations, are we also able to sort of pass that on to, say, equipment members that our equipment members, but aren't actually EVA members?
Yeah, that will be possible because it's going to be an open specification. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be available everywhere then.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that,
You're
Owen.
welcome. It was a
And
pleasure.
yes, and as I say, we will all of this will be available on our YouTube channel, but also you'll see, watch out for newsletters as we go forward.